Black Beggar shocks gangs after they mock her, and the Millionaire stuns everyone. The street lights flickered like old ghosts dying, casting shadows over cracked sidewalks. Trash swirled in the grimy wind, carrying the stench of burnt rubber and cheap alcohol. Maya crouched by the alley's edge, her skin catching the cold night like a fragile shield. Her eyes, sharp and watchful, spotted the gang before they even stepped into the broken light. Their laughter was rough, sharp knives cutting at her raw nerves. "Look at the ragged queen," sneered one kid, his face lit by the orange glow of a rusted street lamp. They circled her like wolves, each stepping closer. "What's wrong, Beggar? Can't run?" Her heart hammered. Her hands trembled, fingers clenched tight like she was holding back a storm. But Maya didn't flinch. She knew their moves. Every step, every sneer, they were predictable. Came that moment. Just as the youngest thug lunged with a bottle, a shadow split the air. A man stepped out, smooth and calm, like he owned the whole damn night. Gabriel, tall, dressed in black that swallowed the street's grime, eyes cold and focused. He didn't yell, didn't fight like a savage. Instead, in a quiet, deadly flash, he caught the bottle mid-throw. That slow-motion shock. You could almost hear every shattered drop hang in silence. The gang froze, their jaws tight, eyes wide, like they'd seen a ghost. "Back off!" Gabriel's voice wasn't loud, but it cracked the air like thunder. Then, almost like a game, he moved, quick, precise. A flick of his wrist sent one thug sprawling. Another two backed away, stunned and spinning on their heels. What nobody expected was Maya. As Gabriel fought, she read their body language, her hands pulling punches before they landed. She moved with a sharpness that didn't make sense for someone with no backing, no weapons. It was like she knew their every thought and every hesitation. Gabriel's gaze flicked to her, curious now, almost impressed. After the rubble settled and the gang scattered into the dark like rats, the Millionaire didn't walk away. Instead, he sat beside Maya on the cold concrete, his eyes softening, breaking through walls she'd built firm. "You've got skills," he said low. "But that's not all. I see something deeper. A fire!" Maya's breath hitched. She wasn't used to kindness, to someone looking past her torn clothes and tired bones. Slowly, she let the story slip out. How she was lost, cast aside by a family too rich to care. A powerful businessman's forgotten daughter betrayed by blood. Gabriel listened, quiet but fierce. The city around them didn't soften. No sirens softened, no voices hushed. But inside that cramped space between flashing neon and broken dreams, something fragile took root. They both knew this was only the first chapter. The gangs were furious now. Their threats sharpened, promises hung like knives. Maya's past whispered vengeance, but Gabriel, with his cold fortune and grit, whispered change. Could they fight the darkness? Or would they be swallowed by it? The night breathed heavy, and all that was left was the question: what would they do with the power hidden in pain and secrets? The game was just beginning. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content that's coming. And since you're here, drop a powerful like. That really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and let me know in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. The night weighed heavy around them, the air thick with tension and unspoken words. Gabriel turnó, his gaze piercing into Maya's. But just as he was about to speak, the world tipped on its axis. A piercing scream shattered the silence. It wasn't far away. A woman's voice, desperate and raw. Gabriel shot to his feet, eyes darting toward the sound. "Stay here!" he barked. But Maya's instincts kicked in. She was on her feet before the command sank in. They rushed around the corner, hearts racing, and stumbled into a chaotic scene. A street totally transformed. A group of men surrounded a woman, her back pressed against the cold bricks, a wild look in her eyes. She yelled, "Get away from me!" Panic radiated off her, and something in her voice pulled at Maya's heart. Gabriel surged forward without hesitation, ready to confront the attackers. But as he stepped into the fray, a figure emerged from the shadows. A young girl, no more than 10, her face streaked with dirt and tear stains, stumbled into the chaos. She clutched something tightly in her hands, a small, glinting object. "Stop!" The girl's voice rang clear, despite the chaos swirling around. Everyone froze. Her small frame stood defiantly against the men, drawn straight like steel. "You leave her alone. I know what you did." The crowd shifted. The men's laughter turned to confusion, their bravado faltering. Maya's heart raced still faster, straining against the tightness in her chest. "What are you talking about, kid?" One thug scoffed, but there was a tremor in his voice. "We know the truth," the girl shouted, thrusting the object forward. The moonlight caught it, a key that glimmered with every proof of betrayal, every hidden secret. "You can't hide it anymore. I saw you." Maya felt her breath hitch. Her mind raced back to whispers from the dark, stories about a hidden past, her father's business shady dealings. Was this child connected? What truth? Gabriel's voice cut through, sharp and curious, driving nails of urgency into the night. But before the girl could answer, a booming noise shattered the moment. The growl of a motorcycle's engine, fierce and angry. A reminder of who truly owned the streets. Panic flickered across the men's faces. They hadn't expected this. The growling machine roared to a stop, shadows spilling out like ink in water. A gang leader, known for bloodied fists and ruthless control, stepped forward. A cruel smile twisted on his lips as he surveyed the scene, eyes landing on the girl with a mix of fury and amusement. "Well, well, what do we have here?" "This isn't over," the girl declared, clutching the key like it was the essence of everything she stood for. "You think you can bury the truth forever? You're wrong." Maya's breath fogged up the cold air. What truth? Gabriel leaned in closer to Maya, his eyes shifting. "We have to protect her. She knows something." But as the gang members shifted, ready for a storm, Maya felt an unexpected chill. It hit her hard. The girl's resemblance, the familiar features. The dread settled in her heart like a stone. "Wait," she whispered, realizing the impossible. You You can't be. The girl turned, eyes wide, with all the weight of a forgotten past staring back at Maya. In that electric second of recognition, the world around them faded, leaving only mounting chaos. The possibility of betrayal, and a truth that could turn everything they understood on its head. And as that recognition sank in, the night became an abyss of uncertainty, wrapping them all in darkness. What would come next? What did this all mean? The game had truly just begun, and the stakes had never been higher. The night breathed heavy, and all that was left was the question. What would they do with the power hidden in pain and secrets? Maya took a shaky breath, the chill of the concrete seeping into her bones. Gabriel's presence wrapped around her like a promise, his words igniting something she thought long extinguished. But just as she opened her mouth to respond, the world lurched. A deafening crash split the air, followed by the shattering glass. Suddenly, the alley exploded with chaos as headlights sliced through the darkness. A sleek, black SUV skidded to a halt, its tires screaming against the pavement. Flung open, and armed figures flooded out, dark figures in suits, eyes glinting with malice. What the hell? Gabriel's voice was low, but filled with dread. The gang had vanished, swallowed by the night. But this new threat loomed larger, shadows swallowing the space around them. Maya's heart raced, memories of danger clawing at her. She pushed herself backward, pressing against the cold brick wall. She recognized that emblem on their jackets, a serpent coiling itself around a dollar sign. The Syndicate, the city's darkest, most ruthless gang. Before she could scream, one of them spotted her. There she is, the lost princess! His laugh pierced through the chaos. What a nice surprise! Gabriel stood, fists tightening at his sides. But Maya felt something shift in him. A flicker of recognition? Fear? She could see the gears turning in his mind, calculating risks, options, and danger. But then, just as quickly, that icy calm returned. "Let her go," he said, voice steadier than she felt. "You want me? I'm the one you're after." Laughter erupted from the gang members, a cruel chorus that echoed in the night. "You think you can buy your way out of this?" the leader sneered. "Your daddy's money can't save you now." Maya caught the shift in Gabriel's expression, the way his confidence wavered. "What do you want?" he demanded. But there was an edge of desperation now. "We'll take what's ours," the leader said, stepping closer, his gang following suit, creating a wall of menace. "It's time for the truth, rich boy. You didn't think you could hide your dirty past forever, did you?" Suddenly, the speeding SUV behind them appeared to shake, as though it was rattled by some unseen force. The gang members froze, glancing at one another with uncertainty. Then, out of the darkness came a voice, a soft, trembling whisper that shattered the air. "Stop! You can't do this!" From the passenger seat of the SUV, a figure emerged. A woman, shrouded by shadows, stepped forward, her face lit by the glow of the street lamp. Maya gasped. It was Sylvia, her mother, her father's first wife, long thought to be dead. But there she stood, alive, eyes wide with urgency and pain. "Maya, listen to me!" Sylvia's voice cracked, desperation spilling into the night. "You have to run! They can't find you!" Stunned silence enveloped the alley. Maya felt the ground shift beneath her. The betrayal surged, twisting her stomach like a vice. Questions spiraled in her mind. Did her father know? Did he send her mother away to bury the truth? And why now, after all these years, was she here? Gabriel's face hardened, disbelief flashing across his features. "You've been lying to her," he shot at Sylvia. Confusion, anger, and betrayal hung in the air like the mist over the city's edge. With terror creeping in, Maya clutched her chest, as if anchoring herself to a reality that felt more like a nightmarish dream. The stakes had risen. The syndicate, her mother's sudden reappearance. This was no longer just about her survival. This was bigger than she could comprehend. And there, amidst the fractured trust and swirling chaos, the night bristled with uncertainty. What truths would unravel? What shadows would loom? The game had shifted. Everything was poised on the edge of danger, and the darkness seemed eager to engulf them all. Maya's mind reeled, caught between disbelief and raw emotion. Sylvia's presence transformed the air. Tension thickened like a dense fog. "Why now?" she whispered, each word laced with pain. The woman she had mourned all these years stood before her, alive, yet cloaked in shadows and lies. "Run, Maya," Sylvia pleaded, her voice trembling, urgency spilling from her. She stepped closer, eyes full of unshed tears. "Why should I trust you now?" Maya shot back, anger igniting within her. "You left. You let me believe you were dead." Before Sylvia could respond, the gang leader sneered, interrupting the family reunion with a cruel laugh. "Oh, this just got interesting. A tearful mother-daughter moment straight out of a bad script." Gabriel shifted, uneasy, but standing firm. "Forget her," he ordered, keeping his eyes on the gang, determination flaring at the edges. The leader leaned back, arms crossed. "This is about more than just a mother, you know. Secrets have a way of spilling, especially when they're so juicy." Maya felt the weight of those words settle on her like a heavy stone. What did he know? Then, with cruel precision, the gang leader took a step, putting himself between Sylvia and Maya. "We know all about the family ties, all those hidden connections," he chuckled, dark amusement playing across his lips. Maya's heart raced. Could they really know everything? "What are you talking about?" The words slipped out, barely forming as dread fluttered in her chest. "Your mom," he said slowly. "She didn't just disappear. There's a reason for that." "And the key she's been hiding?" He gestured to the small girl, with the glimmering object still standing firm, but clearly shaken. "It's connected, isn't it?" And then the world exploded. A loud crash echoed from the SUV, metal screeching as doors slammed open and a figure emerged, tall and imposing, draped in shadows. The crowd split, eyes widening at the sight. It was another woman, fierce and unyielding, a stark contrast against the chaos around them. This woman looked deeply familiar. For a heartbeat, everything hung in the balance, tension crackling like static electricity. "Maya!" the newcomer shouted. And in that moment, it all clicked into place. Her features, her eyes, they were mirrors of Maya's own face. "Maya, you have to listen to me!" A deep urgency in her voice pulled at invisible strings, tying them all together in a web of secrets. Maya stumbled back, heart pounding, confusion spiraling. "Who are you?" "Your sister." The word hung heavy, laden with a weight that seemed impossible. "I'm here to expose the truth." Gasps rippled through the crowd, murmurs rising like a tide. The gang leader faltered, momentarily thrown off his game. "What? No, that's impossible." But the girl, Maya's newfound sister, held the key aloft, her small hands steady. "It's not just about you anymore. This is about us. The truth must come out." Maya felt her knees buckle. Truth no longer just an abstract concept, but a living pulse, shattering every belief she held. Her sister? A sibling she never knew? Betrayals twisted in her stomach like knives. Was this all part of a plan? Gabriel stepped closer, eyes darting between the chaos, anger and protection coursing through him. "We need to leave, now!" But the gang leader laughed, a twisted sense of victory looming in the air like a storm. "You think you can escape your family's legacy? Let's see how far those ties can take you." All at once, the street pulsed with danger. The night grew darker as voices shrieked, laughter turned to anger, and shadows danced around them, foreboding and ominous. Maya's heart raced as the pieces of her identity unraveled, and she gripped the concrete wall, breath coming in shallow bursts. What now? Each revelation splintered her world more. A sister, a hidden past, secrets that wove deeper than she could fathom. In that chaotic moment, standing between her mother, her sister, and a gang bent on unearthing everything, the question hung heavy in the night air. Who could she trust when even bloodlines twisted into deadly webs? The game had turned again, and this time the stakes were not just survival. They were the very essence of who she was. Would she break free? Or would the emerging truth bind her to a fate far worse than she ever imagined? The night breathed heavy. Gabriel and Maya sat in the flickering shadows, their voices quiet as they shared dreams snagged on the barbed wire of their lives. But then, a sound splintered the air, a faint but steady thud. It grew louder, thumping against their ears like a war drum, pulling them back to the reality outside their fragile bubble. "Do you hear that?" Maya's voice strained, breaking the moment. Before Gabriel then, out of nowhere, headlights sliced through the darkness, illuminating the alley like a sickly spotlight. A van screeched to a halt, the door flinging open with violent urgency. Figures poured out, dark silhouettes against the luminous glare. 3 men, faces masked, charged toward them like a pack of wolves. "Get down!" Gabriel shouted, instinctively pulling Maya behind him. She felt the brush of his body as he shielded her, heart racing. This was a new level of danger. A roar of laughter filled the alley, a sharp, mocking cacophony. "Look at the losers!" one of them yelled. It was a voice she recognized, one of the gang who had attacked her, back for revenge. Maya's fear twisted into anger. She sprang to her feet, fists clenched tight. Who do they think they are? She faced the advancing gang, adrenaline coursing through her veins, eyes blazing. The thugs just laughed. "Ha ha! You think you can fight us? You're nothing! Maybe we'll teach you some respect." But then, the world shattered. There was an explosion, a bright flash, a thunderous boom. The alley erupted in chaos as the van's back doors opened wide. revealing a massive amount of drugs spilling out like they were being unleashed from a beast too long caged. And there he was, the last person Maya ever expected to see, her father. He stepped out from the shadows, a dark figure, with chilling familiarity. "I need you, Maya," he said, his words smooth but twisted. "Come home." Her heart stopped. Everything she believed shattered in an instant. The millionaire wasn't just some rich stranger. He was part of the darkness she thought she was escaping. Gabriel's protective stance faltered. Confusion contorted his features, eyes darting between her and her father. "What?" he breathed, mouth slightly agape. "You didn't tell me?" The gang surged forward, dragging her father back into their chaos. "You're in the fold now," one shouted. "Either you fight for us, or, well, you know what happens." Maya felt the walls closing in, the crush of betrayal hot against her skin. Her father had turned her life upside down once, and now he was back to do it again. Was she really about to join them? "No!" she screamed, but it came out as a whisper, swallowed by the night. Gabriel held her tighter, their breath mingling in the pulsing fear around them. "We have to go," he said, voice low but urgent. "Now!" But her mind spun wildly. The fight wasn't just with the gangs anymore. It was with her own blood, with secrets that were now surfacing. What would her choice mean? Would she become them? The dark truth clawed at her insides, weaving between hope and despair's grip. As the gang advanced, eyes glinting with chaos, she stood frozen in place. Gabriel's presence felt like safety, but the shadows of her father and his twisted past hung just above them. The night was still alive with tension, and in that moment, everything shifted. What would she choose? The family she never wanted, or the chance to carve a new path? Chaos swirled around them, and all that lingered was uncertainty, echoing against the cracked pavement. The night felt too heavy, too still. Maya pulled her jacket tighter around her shoulders, searching for warmth, for something familiar in that cold, shadow-covered world. Gabriel sat beside her, a solid presence, and for just a heartbeat she felt shielded. But there was a tension rippling through the air, tightening her chest like a vice. "Change can happen, you know," he murmured, drawing her gaze. "You've got fire, and I can help." A distant crash echoed through the alleys, but neither of them reacted at first. Then, like a switch flipped, people started to run, shadows darting through the dim light. Maya's heart raced as a woman screamed, high and piercing. Time slowed. Every second felt thick, pregnant with dread. Gabriel instinctively rose, his body taut like a coiled spring. "What's happening?" he asked, eyes scanning the chaos, but unable to see the source. Then it came, a dark figure tumbling into the alley, breathless and wild-eyed. It was another gang member, his face smeared with dirt and blood, panic plastered across his frame. They, the words poured out like a broken dam. "They're coming! They know! We need to go! Now! Who knows?" Maya shot back, the tremor evident in her voice. Gabriel's gaze flicked over her shoulder, fight or flight sparking in his eyes. Before he could answer, a rapid-fire noise split the night. A series of gunshots, one right after the other. A thudding silence followed, and Maya's stomach dropped. "Run!" Gabriel shouted, grabbing her hand. They bolted into the night, weaving through the alleyways, but chaos followed like a shadow. The city bloomed with confusion. Sirens wailed in the distance, a warning chorus. She felt the heat of anger chase them down every street. Yet in the midst of the madness, something collided in her mind, a sensation sharp enough to make her falter. "Maya, keep moving!" "Tata!" Gabriel urged, pulling her back to reality. Then a voice rang out, cutting through the clamor. "Stop!" It was loud, commanding. Another twist in this spiraling nightmare. Maya looked up, meeting eyes from the past. Her father, the powerful businessman who had erased her from existence, glaring at her with a mixture of rage and disbelief. "What are you doing here?" he spat, a fraught intensity in his voice. Every piece of her crumbled. "You thought you could just erase me?" Maya's voice trembled, but it held the steel of truth. "It's not what you think," he shouted, still rooted in the street, but two gang members loomed behind him, eager for blood. "Maya, please!" Gabriel insisted, urging her to retreat, but she couldn't move. "He's the last connection you have to your past." Her father sneered, lifting his chin, confidence emanating from him like a colossus unperturbed by the storm. "I'll make sure you regret this, both of you." Time seemed to warp, stretching like taffy. The noise faded into a dull roar as Maya's heart thumped louder. "You think you know me? You think I fear you?" Gunfire rang out, the sound ripping through the air like a knife. One of the gang members struck, and chaos erupted all over again. Fists flew, bodies collided into one another. Blah! Maya's world spun as Gabriel shoved her to the ground, covering her body with his own. "Stay down!" he shouted. And just as she thought everything was lost, she saw her father, the man she had once craved love from. A bullet grazed his arm, flipping his perfect world upside down. He staggered back, eyes widening, fresh terror blooming. The hidden loss, the unspoken debts, they all stood revealed in that moment, raw as exposed wounds. "Stay close, no matter what," Gabriel whispered fiercely, his hand gripping hers. Fear coursed through her veins, but also a flicker of something else. Might it be defiance? Buried fire igniting in her gut? Their lives intertwined in this night of shadows and revelations, tangled deeper than either had anticipated. What more lay beneath the chaos? Secrets simmered below the surface, waiting to explode. Could they escape the trap of blood and betrayal that was closing in? The alley held its breath. And so did Maya. ... She felt the weight of choice settling heavy on her shoulders. The real fight was just beginning. The night breathed heavy. The city was restless, and they both felt it. A tension thick in the air. Just as they found a fragile connection, a loud crash shattered the moment. A dumpster overturned at the other end of the alley. It echoed like thunder, rattling their cores. Before either could react, a familiar voice shouted from the shadows. "Maya, get down!" Instinct took over. "Gabriel, púchete a la tierra, justo antes. Una gela de glass salió a poder." Through the chaos, Maya's heart raced, not just from fear, but from recognition. That voice, it was familiar. Susie? She barely whispered, but the name slipped past her lips like a ghost escaping a coffin. A figure emerged from the darkness. It wasn't just any shadow. It was Susie, her old friend. Maya's heart ached at the sight. A wild blend of joy and anger surged inside her. Susie came closer, panting, eyes wide with panic. "You have to come with me, Maya. They're coming for you." "Who? What are you talking about?" Before Susie could answer, the ground shook with footsteps. Heavy, deliberate. The gang was back, angrier, more vicious. They stepped into the dim light, eyes glinting with malice. "Silly little girl, you thought you could escape? You thought you could just disappear?" The leader's voice cut through the dark. His grin held no warmth, just hunger. Gabriel stood, fists clenched, ready to defend. But Maya's mind whirled. What did Susie mean, the way her friend looked at her? There was more than just warning in those eyes. There was fear, yes, but also betrayal. "Get out of here, Maya," Susie cried, desperation spilling from her voice. "You don't understand!" But suddenly, the ground beneath them felt unstable, not just physically, but emotionally. Maya shook her head, caught in a storm of memories and uncertainty. "What don't I understand? Why are you here?" I didn't know. You have to believe me. I thought I could help you." Susie's voice cracked, tears welling in her eyes. Gabriel glanced between them, confusion knitting his brow. "What's going on? This isn't the time for secrets." But as if the universe had decided to turn the night on its head, the gang charged in, thrusting sharp blades of fear. Time slowed. One thug hurled a knife towards Gabriel. A blur of movement. Maya felt something deeper awaken in her. A sudden fire, igniting within. "No!" She leapt forward, faster than she'd ever moved. But fate had a cruel sense of humor. Another figure stepped out. Older, more powerful. A man wrapped in a tailored suit, his cold smile flickering in the dim light. A shadow from her past. "Father?" Maya gasped, heart dropping like a stone. "Did you really think you could run?" His voice was smooth like ice, casual but deadly. The gang stiffened, the weight of his presence shifting everything. Susie's face twisted into shock, eyes darting between the two of them. You're his daughter?" The world exploded in confusion and fear. Maya's whole life came crashing down. The illusion of safety shattered. The man who had abandoned her, who had caused her so much pain, now wielded the web of control over everything she thought she could escape. "Gabriel," she breathed, but the words felt stale in her mouth. They all stood like pieces on a chessboard. And suddenly, she realized. She had been played. The darkness didn't just threaten them from outside. It wrapped around her, tightened its grip. What would they do now? Fight against her own blood? Or would they be consumed by the chaos of a past she couldn't outrun? The night thickened, and the weight of secrets hung in the air, begging to be exposed. The game had just taken a turn, and no one knew what the next move would be. Maya felt the ground tremble beneath her. The tension in the air was electric, crackling with the weight of her father's words. Everything was shifting. Her heart raced, a drum echoing in her chest. Gabriel's grip tightened around her hand, his eyes darting between her father and their danger, brimming with urgency. "Back off!" he commanded, voice low but fierce. But Maya's focus was locked onto her father, the man who had ripped her world apart. Do you think this is a game, Dad? She shouted, rage boiling within her. You think I'll just come back to you? Your mother was a mistake, he hissed, his voice cutting through the chaos. And you're my ticket to fixing everything. Suddenly, laughter erupted from the gang members. They relished the spectacle, watching the drama unfold as if it were entertainment. The leader of the gang stepped closer, eyes glistening with wickedness. What a tangled web you've spun, princess. If only you knew the truth, you'd realize how tied you are to all of this. Maya felt sick as dread coiled in her stomach. What do you mean? She gasped, her voice barely above a whisper. But before the leader could reply, the air shifted again. A blinding light pierced through the alley, as if the sky had cracked open, shining down on them with a fury. The ground shook beneath their feet, and a loud roar filled the air. Maya's instincts screamed. Something was coming. A flash, a thunderous boom that rattled their bones. And then, an explosive crash as a black van slammed into the wall at the end of the alley, sending debris flying like confetti in a war zone. What the? Gabriel started, eyes wide, fear splashing across his face. But it wasn't just any van. Out stepped a woman, her silhouette sharp against the crushing chaos. She was tall, fierce, with hair like wildfire, and a presence that demanded attention. Recognition flicked through Maya like lightning. Is that? Susie gasped, trailing off. Mom! Maya's breath caught. But this woman wasn't Sylvia. This was someone older. Someone with an authority that stopped the gangs dead in their tracks. Hello, Maya, the woman said, voice a smooth blend of warmth and ice. I've been looking for you. Silence filled the alley. The gang members were paralyzed, faces painted with confusion, their bravado stripped away under this unexpected revelation. Who are you? The gang leader demanded, trying to regain control. I'm Adrian, she said, her gaze shifting between them, capturing each emotion swirling in their eyes. And I'm here to put an end to this madness. Maya's heart thundered in her chest. Everything about this moment felt monumental. Why are you here? What's going on? Why now? But as she spoke, the woman's face darkened. A quick flicker of pain crossed her features, before she pointed to the gang leader. You don't want to be caught in this fight. You think you know what's happening here, but you have no idea. Suddenly, the ground trembled again, but this time, not from a vehicle. All eyes turned toward the van as the doors swung open, but not a soul stepped out. Instead, a chilling sound filled the air. The clicking of a mechanism, a sharp, metallic noise slicing through the tense atmosphere. And then a figure emerged, draped in a heavy cloak, hiding their face. A predator, wrapped in darkness. As they stepped into the light, gasps echoed around them. Maya? The figure whispered, voice laced with an odd familiarity. Her blood ran cold. No, it can't be. The truth hit like a punch to the gut. Your sister is here, the figure declared, pulling down the hood to reveal a face that mirrored her own, but twisted by years of secrets, shadows deepening the scar on her cheek. Rena? Dot, dot. Maya's voice trembled, shock flooding her. Now you see, Adrian said, her voice ringing with a harsh finality. It's not just about your father's past. It's your birthright, sewn into blood and lies. The very air shimmered with betrayal. They stood frozen, caught in a whirlwind of chaos, identities revealed, and everything in flux. Friends, family, foes, all interwoven in a tapestry of pain. Rena crossed her arms, a smirk playing on her lips. Guess you really weren't special after all. And in that moment, the ground beneath them felt like it was crumbling with the weight of truth. This was only the beginning. What else could unravel here? What connections, what losses lingered, waiting to pull them deeper into the unknown? Maya felt the ground tremble beneath her. The tension in the air was electric, crackling with the weight of her father's words. Everything was shifting. Her heart raced, a drum echoing in her chest. Gabriel's grip tightened around her hand, his eyes darting between her father and their danger, brimming with urgency. "Back off!" he commanded, voice low but fierce. But Maya's focus was locked onto her father, the man who had ripped her world apart. "Do you think this is a game, Dad?" she shouted, rage boiling within her. "You think I'll just come back to you?" "Your mother was a mistake," he hissed, his voice cutting through the chaos. "And you're my ticket to fixing everything." Suddenly, laughter erupted from the gang members. They relished the spectacle, watching the drama unfold as if it were entertainment. The leader of the gang stepped closer, eyes glistening with wickedness. "What a tangled web you've spun, princess. If only you knew the truth, you'd realize how tied you are to all of this." Maya felt sick as dread coiled in her stomach. "What do you mean?" But before the leader could reply, the air shifted again. A blinding light pierced through the alley, as if the sky had cracked open, shining down on them with a fury. The ground shook beneath their feet, and a loud roar filled the air. Maya's instincts screamed. Something was coming. A flash, a thunderous boom that rattled their bones, and then an explosive crash as a black van slammed into the wall at the end of the alley, sending debris flying like confetti in a war zone. "What's the—" Gabriel started, eyes wide, fear splashing across his face. But it wasn't just any van. Out stepped a woman, her silhouette sharp against the crushing chaos. She was tall, fierce, with hair like wildfire and a presence that demanded attention. Recognition flicked through Maya like lightning. "Is that—" Susie gasped, trailing off. ... "Mom?" Maya's breath caught. But this woman wasn't Sylvia. This was someone older, someone with an authority that stopped the gangs dead in their tracks. "Hello, Maya," the woman said, voice a smooth blend of warmth and ice. "I've been looking for you." Silence filled the alley. The gang members were paralyzed, faces painted with confusion, their bravado stripped away under this unexpected revelation. "Who are you?" the gang leader demanded, trying to regain control. "I'm Adrian," she said, her gaze shifting between them, capturing each emotion swirling in their eyes. "And I'm here to put an end to this madness." Maya's heart thundered in her chest. Everything about this moment felt monumental. "Why are you here? What's going on? Why now?" But as she spoke, the woman's face darkened. A quick flicker of pain crossed her features before she pointed to the gang leader. "You don't want to be caught in this fight. You think you know what's happening here, but you have no idea." Suddenly, the ground trembled again. but this time not from a vehicle. All eyes turned toward the van as the doors swung open, but not a soul stepped out. Instead, a chilling sound filled the air. The clicking of a mechanism, a sharp, metallic noise slicing through the tense atmosphere. And then, a figure emerged, draped in a heavy cloak, hiding their face. A predator wrapped in darkness. As they stepped into the light, gasps echoed around them. "Maya?" the figure whispered, voice laced with an odd familiarity. Her blood ran cold. No, it can't be. The truth hit like a punch to the gut. "Your sister is here," the figure declared, pulling down the hood to reveal a face that mirrored her own, but twisted by years of secrets, shadows deepening the scar on her cheek. "Rena!" Maya's voice trembled, shock flooding her. "Now you see," Adrian said, her voice ringing with a harsh finality. "It's not just about your father's past. It's your birthright, sewn into blood and lies." The very air shimmered with betrayal. They stood frozen, caught in a whirlwind of chaos, identities revealed, and everything in flux. Rena crossed her arms, a smirk playing on her lips. "Guess you really weren't special after all." But before Maya could protest, there was a sudden sharp crack. A gunshot rang out from behind the gang. A body fell, hitting the pavement with a sickening thud. Silence dropped like a stone, filling the alley with an overwhelming weight. The gang leader, planning his next move, stared, eyes wide with shock, as he collapsed next to his fallen comrade, blood pooling around him. Maya's breath hitched. A split second passed, but it felt like an eternity. Dot. And then from the shadows, another figure emerged. A man, disheveled but determined. He raised the weapon, heart pounding visibly in his chest. "This ends now." "Who the hell are you?" the gang member still standing shouted, backing away. "Someone who knows everything," he declared, voice steady and resolute. Maya's heart raced. "What? No, stop!" she yelled. But it was too late. The man fired again, seemingly unafraid of the chaos he was creating. The sound of bullets echoed like thunder, and the world spun around her. A piercing realization swept over Maya. Was this man here to save them, or bury them all? As smoke filled the alley, and screams invaded the air, everything Maya understood about love, loyalty, and her past crumbled into dust. In that moment, the lines between enemies and allies blurred completely. And in the center of that confusion, Maya felt a familiar, gut-wrenching fear. What did it all mean? Maya felt the weight of every moment pressing down on her. The chaos around her dissolved as Adrian stepped into the light, fierce and commanding. She could hardly wrap her mind around all the revelations, the fragments of her life colliding in ways she never expected. There was no room for fear. She had to choose. Dot, 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 dot. Her gaze darted between Gabriel and Rena. What did this all mean? "Stay back!" Rena shouted, raising an arm as the gang scrambled. But the bravado that had once empowered Maya wavered. This was about family, about bonds made from blood and secrets. Gabriel still held her hand, his eyes filled with a mix of courage and confusion. We need to get out of here. As the gang closed in, Maya felt Adrian take a firm stance, drawing the attention of the thugs. You don't know what you're messing with, she warned, voice like steel wrapped in warmth. Laughter erupted from the gang leader. Arrogance, this is our territory. But with swift grace, Adrian lunged forward, moving through the chaos like a dancer. She struck with precision, taking down the gang members one by one. It was stunning, powerful, watching her mother fight. Maya's heart surged. Maybe this was the strength she'd inherited. Gabriel glanced at Maya, eyes lighting with hope. We can do this together. We're stronger as a team. Maya nodded, the resolve surging like fire through her veins. She turned to Rena. Are you with us? Rena smirked, a spark lighting in her eyes. Always! As the battle unfolded before them, Maya felt empowerment course through her. They were no longer victims, they were fighters. The gang no longer seemed like untouchable monsters. They were just people, scared and cornered. More shots fired, but the echoes felt muted in the strength Maya now held. Let's finish this, she shouted, charging forward, leading the charge. The alley devolved into chaos, bodies colliding, fists connecting with loud pops. The remaining gang members began to falter as Adrian's strategy, combined with Rena's agility and Gabriel's fierce protection, overwhelmed them. But amidst the struggle, pain echoed. She felt the sharp sting of loss as the gang leader stumbled backward, hitting a wall that shattered under pressure. He turned, eyes wide with disbelief and fear. You think you can just erase us? No, we're rewriting the story, Maya replied, surprise filling her voice with strength she couldn't hold back. With one last push, a final surge of unity, they pushed the gang out of the alley, reclaiming their space. The city felt alive around them, hearts racing, breaths panting against the backdrop of victory. Amidst the ragged breaths, Maya turned to Adrian, her heart swelling. Why now? Why come back? Adrian's eyes softened, a mixture of regret and pride. Because you deserve to know the truth. All of you, your lives are tied to something greater than you can imagine. As silence fell, Maya felt a longing rise in her chest. Answers, connection, the burning need to find out the depth of their history. But a new sound interrupted. Sirens wailed in the distance, an oncoming storm that would soon crush their moment of victory. Maya! Gabriel's voice shot through the air as he broke her reverie. We need to leave, now! As reality crashed over them like a wave, the group knew they had to escape the alley. The past had rewritten itself, but how would they move forward? Maya's heart raced. They stepped out of the shadowy world and into the unknown. Families intertwined, secrets whispered, futures uncertain. But she felt the fire within her. As they ran into the night, the pulse of the city felt electric, alive with possibilities. And ahead lay the mystery of what was next, what truths they would uncover together. Every step echoed with uncertainty. Don't wait. Hit that red button now. You have to subscribe immediately to never miss a single story. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. And I want to hear from you in the comments below. Flood it with your reactions and theories about what's coming next. Share this video instantly with 5 friends who need to see this ending. This is the moment to show your support. Let's keep this community growing together.